history of Buddhism in particular. How Indian history starts, that we will be discussing. In general, overall Indian history, which includes, Buddhist history and non-Buddhist, Vedic and other dynasties history. And then, in that overall Indian history, our focus will be particularly on how the history of Buddhism gets started. So, history of Buddhism generally it starts. Indian history mostly it starts with when we talk about Indian history, don't remove these pens. Indian history, before that there is a world history. So mostly our historical, in world history, historical time period mostly the history is a discipline which has been developed in the Western area, Western university or Western world, not in the way we study history. That is developed not in Eastern, in Asian region, but mostly in the Western region, the university system in which we are studying. And our Asian traditional history does not matches with that world view. Remember, this is in general you have to keep this in your mind. For example, the history which Buddhist text or Hindu text they speak about does not matches with the world history in general. So mostly the history has been shaped according to the Western idea of history, and that is how it is taught in universities. So that is the mode in which we will be studying as well, because we are not in a traditional monastic university. We are in a university which follows the Western pedagogy, Western system of academics. So we will be following that Western mode of history. So according to that, historical time period starts around 5,000 years back. Years back, historical time period starts. Before that, whatever is called, that is proto-history. Proto-history. So proto-history means, there were no proper civilization. Human beings were there, but they were not living in a group or in a proper settlement. There were no civilizations. So around 5,000 years back, 5 major civilizations they come. Anybody will tell some major civilization which arose? This is class 10. In Indian school, this is taught in class 10. This is school.
Egyptian civilization.
Egyptian is one. Egypt, it gets developed there is a river called Nile. So on the banks of Nile, Egyptian civilization gets developed. Another civilization, Mesopotamia, that develops on the which river? All these 5 civilizations, they are called, river-based civilizations, because human beings they got settled around a river bank, and on those river banks they developed some sort of more civilized, systematic. Before that, they were living in a cave, or they were agro-pastoral, they were nomad people, not a proper civilization. So most Mesopotamia, Babylon, Indus Valley. So India's civilization, which we will be focusing mostly on, that is called Indus Valley. Indus Valley civilization. What is the name of the river? Indus. So Indus Valley. Indus Valley presently flows. It starts somewhere in the Tibet, China, Mansarovar, and it flows across Ladakh, Kashmir region. Then it enters into Pakistan, and there it gets like a big river, and then finally it meets in the Bay of Bengal. So that's the present day Indus Valley. In those days, we are talking about 5,000 years back. So those days, other rivers were also there. For example, there was a river called Saraswati, which is now no more existent. So Indian people now they call not just Indus Valley civilization, they call Indus Saraswati civilization. Because mostly, you are late. Try to be on time, you are half an hour late. What happened? Okay, whatever the reason. Next class onwards, I won't allow. Because I don't allow students if they are more than 15 minutes late. 15 minutes will be doing mostly in meditation. If you come before, you wait outside. Let others finish meditation and after 15 minutes. So don't come after 15 minutes. I won't permit. So we call that Indus Saraswati civilization. Saraswati is also name of a river. Saraswati. I wanted to show you some PowerPoint slides which I am searching. So, it's okay, sir. So 3000 BCE, that means 5,000 years. Those who don't know, BCE means before Common Era. Earlier it was called before Christ, but now historians, they have all over the world, they have agreed that not to use religious terms. So we call it before Common Era. So BCE and CE means Common Era. So we will be not using AD. In many books you will find AD as well. So we won't be using CE, and instead of BC, we will be using BCE. So this is a norm. Now people don't use AD, they use CE. CE means common era. Right now we are in 2024. So this is 2024 CE. Okay. So when we are saying 3000 BCE, so before common era, that means you have to add whatever BCE is there. So you have to add to this. So that means 5024 24 years. Something. So 3000 BC or 5000 years back, there were these 5 major civilizations. Congo Valley in China, Indus Valley. So this was the Indus Valley region. It does not mean the rest of India did not have people. They had the people. But here a proper civilization, a group of people, they developed a very sophisticated city land. 5000 years back, they had an urban civilization. They built up a road which matched at a right angle. They had a very sophisticated living system. Drainage system was well established. All the drain, what you are, for a water outlet. They had a huge bath for some ritualistic purpose. So similarly, this Tigris, Euphra, this is the Sumerian and Babylonian civilization. Nile River is the Egyptian civilization, Congo in China. Rest of part of the world also had civilization, but they were not living in a proper, they were still living in a prehistoric age. Making sense? So ancient, most contemporary civilizations are these. In this, we will be following Indus Valley. Indus, the name we call India. So again, India has got name from this river called Indus. Earlier, in Sanskrit or in Hindi, in Indian language, this river, Indus River, is known as Sindhu. So it was known as Sindhu. Still it is known as by Indian people, they call this river not Indus, but Sindhu. People from this region, this Iran, and they pronounce sa as a her. So they pronounce mostly as a her. Still, saptah they call hafta. Sahastra becomes hastra. So Soma becomes Homa. Similarly, Sindhu became Hindu. So Sindhu became, for them, they started calling Hindu. So Hindu is not a religious term actually, it's a geographical term. So those who lived across, there is a Hindu Kush mountain range here. So those, and this Indus River. So those who lived across this region, all this region, those who lived across this region, they were called Hindu. And by that time there was no Islam, there was no Christianity. We are talking about 5,000 years back. So this is a geographical term. So all the people, those who are living in this region, they were called Hindu. Clear? European, they pronounce her as a E. So they called Hindu. So Sindhu became Hindu, became Hindu, and that is how we get the name India.
Ha is silent for them.
Huh?
Ha is silent for them.
In a way, how it's silent.
So, sir, geographically, everything south of the Himalayas.
South to the Hindu Kush, there is not just Himalaya, because Himalaya ends here, somewhere here. But here there is a mountain range called Hindu Kush. There is and it flows up, it ranges across this, Central Asia as well. So in ancient time, this entire For example, this is the Hindu Kush mountain range. So in a way it includes a major part of China as well. And of course this entire region. So this is Hindu Kush mountain range. Himalayan region, it includes Himalayan region as well. Anyway, so people those who lived across this region, they were called Hindu. So right now when we call India, it's a political nation, you know. But when in my class at least, whenever I am talking about India, it does not mean present day political nation state. I am more talking about India as an Indian culture. So for example, entire Asia follows the calendar system which got developed in India, somewhere in India. Again, India is a mixture of lots of people, lots of ethnic group, lots of culture. So it's not this is no one just one language or one culture people. So in that sense, I am discussing India.
Sir, are you saying all these civilizations suddenly arrived in parallel? All these civilizations suddenly arise in parallel around the same time?
Yes, these four
Separately.
separately.
How? How can five civilizations
Okay,
suddenly
so
appear?
in history, the question what? So what are these civilizations? So there is an answer. These are river valley civilizations. When they did their, so we have a clear answer. 5,000 years back. They all. Now when the question comes why or how, the answer differs. This is a deeper analysis. In general, keep in your mind whenever you are, what is very, like you can reach what you have data figure. But why, the moment the question why or how comes, it's a deeper inquiry. And there everybody does not agree. So we will present, of course, in the entire class we are going to discuss this how and why. But that's a one perspective. There are multiple perspectives. So for example, the traditional Indian perspective won't agree. They will say, no, this 5,000 years is not correct. We had pre-5,000 years back civilization. Because Buddha himself, this Shakyamuni Gautama, the Buddha, before him there was a Kashyap, before him they come down. Many Buddhas were there. And their time periods, jumps just 10,000 and 50,000 years back. So, to which this timeline would not agree. So there where I am saying this how or why will differ. Anyway, so mostly the people in these regions they started gathering in the this is what Western historians they say. So I am answering your question. So because these hunter and gatherer they were living in caves, gradually they started doing cultivation. They started agriculture got developed on those river valleys. And they developed a kind of a town or a city sort of thing. So gradually that type of civilization, almost 5,000 years. And by the way, they were connected. It's not that they were in silos. We have evidence that Indus Valley was connected with Sumerian and Egyptians, and from Greek as well through land and through seas. They were connected somehow. So Indus Valley starts 3,000 years back, ends around 1500 BCE. That means that civilization did not sustain beyond this time. It got destroyed. I'll be sharing all the slides, don't worry. Take notes. If you feel no problem, take photographs. If you feel some photographs, some slides are important for, you can take photographs. But I'll be sharing. Not only I'll be sharing, there is an audio file also there. You can listen about that slide by clicking on that audio file. So, but there is an advantage of attending class, so I'll be discussing something more. 1400 BC. This was located at Indus Valley, Indus, but also at Saraswati. Saraswati is also, because mostly Indus Valley is in Pakistan. Only little portion is in India. While when we are discussing Indian civilization, this Indus combined with Saraswati, majority of Indian states, they had these rivers. And Indian texts, for example Vedas, they are full with descriptions of Saraswati. And that is why we get a goddess of wisdom also. Her name is Saraswati, which is also equally popular in Buddhist tradition. So actually, that Saraswati is the name of a river. Saraswati, how many of you are not aware of this goddess Saraswati? Raise your hand. You don't know Saraswati. So mostly this goddess is depicted with a Suraswati. So it's there in mostly Buddhist, Hindu, all these traditions. The goddess will hold a lute, a veena in her hand, a string instrument. You know Naresh, who is goddess? Your country? Okay. In Bhutan, it's called Yangchen. So actually this is, the name comes from river. That's name because mostly wheat and barley that was cultivated in those Indus Valley civilization. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, these are the two names of city, present name, not ancient. Mohenjo-daro means the valley of dead people. That's the literal meaning. Mohenjo-daro means valley of dead people. Because people knew that there was a civilization here, it was all in mounds. No, so people called it, oh, this is a mound of dead body. Because civilization got lost long time. So this is modern name, Harappa is another. These were the twin capitals of that city. Twin capitals means every state will have a capital. Similarly, the region was a bigger, but Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were capital. They had a fortified citadel. That means the town was surrounded by big walls, so that enemy could not enter. So citadel. They had a large granary, storage house of food. They had. This is all we are talking about 5,000 years back. Broad street, marketplaces, temple, public buildings, standardized wage measures, architectural blocks, and labor trade, domestic trade. So trade was happening across this Indus Valley, Sumerian, and other places. This is the map where you can see this. This is India. Right now we are here. That does not mean 5,000 years ago everybody was here. People were there, but they did not develop a very proper, big civilization like Indus Valley. History. You heard this statement. I don't know. In India, mostly the feminist scholars they say, "Good girls don't make history." No, what I mean is that history gets recorded if something extraordinary thing is done. Otherwise, if normal things are going on, it won't get registered in as a history. If something, we all will live and die. So unless we make something, something extraordinary in our life, we won't become historical person. Right? We will become historical person when we do something extraordinary. Okay? In whatever field. It can be in bad things as well as in good things.
Are you saying man pures make history?
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying this is a very popular feminist statement that good girls don't make history. In order to encourage, women that, do something extraordinary.
Sorry, I have to clarify that.
Okay. So you're using earphone. What happened?
I'm looking at the map of the river.
Okay, but earphone.
Now I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh,
I have 2 ears.
okay. So Indus Valley. Here it's this is the place where it got centered. That means something extraordinary is happening here. So in history, for right now, all India's everything does not get recorded in history. Something, for example, birth of Buddha is a historical event because he is a historical figure. Some important kings, those who did something extraordinary. Thousands of kings have ruled, in 5,000 years. But we don't get record in the history. Those who did something extra. So that is how history, H-I, story which is something of a higher level. Anyway, so what I mean that this region had some, extraordinary developments in those days. So India, Pakistan, the river flows. This is the Indian border now, the present border. Mostly, as you can see, this river is flowing in this. It is entering from Himalayan regions. Anyway, Indus Valley also goes into Punjab, Haryana, and Gujarat of Indian. These are Indian states. Now, by 600, there are variations. Some people say 2000 BC, 600 BC, equal. Some different dates are there for destruction. There are many theories why this civilization got destroyed. So some say, presently the accepted theory is it got destroyed because of natural calamities like earthquakes, flooding. But there is also alternate viewpoint which is now historically not proved to be wrong. But it was taught when we were in schools, or a previous generation was in school. During that time, maybe you might also hear, if you search internet, that there was an invasion from Aryan invasion. There was a race called Aryan people. They invaded this region and they destroyed this civilization. And this theory also says that present Indians are actually they are Aryans, which is a wrong theory. Remember, don't accept this theory. This is the British because they created this theory in order to divide India. Not correct theory. This nobody accepts now, but still it survives in textbooks. Many textbooks, some ideological people they still teach this. Aryan in Indian context is not a term related to any race. Race means people's community. It's not race. You have Arya Satya. 4 Nobel Prize. They are called Arya or Arya Satya. That means something noble, something holy. It has nothing to do with race. But anyway, this wrong idea came that people from West they destroyed this Indus Valley civilization, and so don't accept this theory. If you want, you can accept, of course. But I don't encourage that theory. That people from this region they destroyed this, and they brought Vedic civilization in India. So, according to present historians, it was destroyed by natural calamities like earthquakes and flooding. And gradually, because there was earthquake and flood in that region, so people then migrated to the western part of India. So from this region, they are migrating to this region. So migration happens. Right now we are here somewhere. So now a shift is happening from that to this. So Indus Valley migrants, they later on developed Vedic culture. And they settled down in the Ganga Yamuna river valley. So Ganga river is here. Ganga water comes to Rajgir as well. So Now they are migrating from that region to this region. And there is also a river called Yamuna, another major river, which meets, there is a place called Prayagraj somewhere here. And where these two rivers, they meet here. And earlier Saraswati also used to meet this in ancient time. We have textual reference. Presently this river does not exist. It exists like a very small narrow stream. But in ancient time that river also used to meet here. So that is why from that region to this region, this Indus Saraswati civilization. So it's a continuation. If you take Saraswati in that, so it's a continuation. This is the continuation of the civilization. It's not that somebody destroys one civilization. It's not. Because this was a city culture, and from people they shifted to this region. It took time. The city culture did not develop very quickly. It can't develop because you are migrating from some place to another place. It requires time. Now, for example, Bhutan is a very interesting case. People migrated. So now it took 200-300 years time in order to get a nation state full-fledged. It takes time. Similarly, this place. So initially it was an agro-pastoral civilization. It was not having a very strong city culture as such. So Vedic time period. Now we have shifted from Indus Valley to Vedic time period. So this is Vedic. And if everybody knows Veda. So Vedic culture is getting developed here, including this region as well. Like it was a pan-Indian, so Punjab region was also.
So sorry, are you saying it shifted from major cities to small villages?
No, people just, because natural calamity was there, so people got scattered across. But so gradually they started coming to these different regions. So some of them went to Central Asia as well. Some of them, they migrated, but in context of India, they are shifting to this. So they are still developing a civilization. So texts were written, lots of things were there. So this Vedic India time period, we divide into three phases. Early Vedic, 500 to 1000. Later Vedic, 1000 to 500. And then third stage where like new tradition, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, they are developing. Third stage. So 500 BC and then 500 BC onwards, we have a concrete history of India. 500 BC onwards, that means the time period of Buddha and Mahavira. We have a written and archaeological history. Prior to that, we don't have a very strong history. Strong means written and archaeological records are not strong enough to give a concrete picture. Indus Valley civilization, the script, they wrote something. I'll show in the next other slide. They wrote something, but that has not been read yet. Nobody has been able to read what they wrote 5,000 years back in Indus Valley. So these are some of the seals which are found in Indus Valley. People, so they mostly look like picture. These are the seals, but people have not read it. So what Indus Valley they wrote, we don't know. What was their language? So we don't know what. There are these types of seals. There is also Indus Valley seal, which is famously known as a seal of Pashupati or this seal. There is a person sitting in a yogic posture with two hands. This is 5,000 years old seal. And there are animals around this person: tiger, elephant, bull, rhinoceros, and something is written. These people think this is a proto Shiva, like Shiva, one of the present day god. So that's a form of Shiva is also called Pashupati, that means lord of animals, lord of beasts. So Shiva, and he's sitting in a jogging posture as well. Some historians also say that this figure has three heads, multiple heads. And again, some people also say this is maybe a female figure. Maybe a female figure, but as I said, what is clear, but why and how, then the answer differ. So what it is clear, it is the Indus Valley Sea. But the moment you ask why and how, answers differ. No, you can tell. It's not that you can, but no, everybody won't agree. There is no one concrete answer. So some people say this is a female figure. Some people say three heads are there. Possible, we don't know. But overall, we see this is a yogic posture, and the person is sitting. Animals are there. So this is Indus Valley. So after Indus Valley, this is Vedic time period. Taking the elements. Okay, by the way, still it is 5,000 years old culture, but still Indian people in their present day culture and religion, they still have many such Indus Valley elements. For example, that the bangles, women, Indian women, they wear bangles. Indus Valley women, they wear more bangles. These earrings, the granary system, the worship of Shiva and all, these all are still surviving. One of the Indian poets, he said, he wrote it beautifully. Those who understand Hindi, he says, Yunan, Misr, Roma, mit gaye sab jahan se. The Roman civilization, Aztec civilization, Egyptian civilization, they are no more living civilization. They live in museums. Nobody, they don't have an unbroken culture of that time. He says, Yunan, Misr, Roma, mit gaye sab jahan se. कुछ बात है कि असली मिट्टी नहीं हमारी. There is something strong in this culture that it has survived for us. कुछ बात है कि असली मिट्टी नहीं हमारी, सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जहां हमारा. Then इस सारे जहां से he said that something strong is there in this culture, that it has, many, for hundreds of thousands of people have attacked this religion. They have tried to conquer. But there is something strong in this, that this culture has survived for 5,000 years at least. Although for 100 to 1,000 years, people have always invaded the place. So anyway, so that Indian culture is one of the, not one, perhaps the only culture in the world which has living traditions since 5,000 years. And again, by India, it does not, I think does not mean it includes entire Asia. I don't think that this is the only. So these three, Vedic, later Vedic, and Hinduism, and later. So from 500 onwards, we have a very concrete written history. Upanishad, Karma theory, Mahavira, Siddhartha Gautama. These all start. Okay, let us have 5 minutes.